And no, we are starting different than we usually do, but we are still here. And I wanted to get on as close to 4 o'clock as we could. Coach is having some issues with the audio again. So I don't know what's up, if it's computer problems, if it's restream, or what's going on. But hopefully you guys are hearing me okay. I am remote and in the car right now, so you're gonna not see the usual background, but we did want to get this show out there. Really, honestly, can't wait to bring out our next guest. Was introduced to him from one of our previous guests on a few shows a few weeks ago, Rena Freeman Watts, if you all remember, Better Call Daddy. And she was like, and like I told you, like I shared when we had her on the show with us, she is just a giver. She is all about giving, and so she started connecting me right away. And Ryan was actually one of the people she connected me with, and we talked, and I was like, man, I love what you're trying to do. I love what you got going on with your show. Checked out a few of his episodes with his show, so we'll talk about that as well. But really just want to get into what he does for franchisees. And again, our mission here at the Robinhood Capitalists, we really want to help 10,000 families find financial harmony through hopefully entrepreneurship and franchising. But really just we want you to be able to create your heaven on earth. And what we and I consider here at the Robinhood Capitalist, your heaven on earth is doing what you love with who you love. And I think when we could get to that point, that's when magic really starts to happen. So enough from me, Coach. I'm trying to kind of buy time to see if he gets it figured out, but it looks like he's still having issues. So I'm gonna get this started without him. We'll have him here shortly, and get ready for the music and get ready for Ryan. I can't wait to bring him out.
You get one heartbeat song. Take it seriously. This is your masterpiece. Don't forget to dream and taste the colors in the air you breathe. It's your masterpiece. Go ahead and feel it all. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful. Don't stop till it is beautiful.
All right, everybody. Like our intro says, don't stop till it's beautiful. This is your masterpiece. You get one heartbeat. Don't waste it. So, without wasting any more time, Coach is still waiting, but I'm gonna bring Ryan out. So, Ryan, what's up, man? Welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, DJ. It's always good to talk to you.
Oh man. So obviously I want to plug and get right away into what you do, what you're doing, and show them. So business stories with Ryan right here. So if y'all aren't subscribed, aren't following, make sure after this, and Ryan will let you know where exactly to follow him and find out. But he's on a mission as well. He's on a mission to help franchisees through. He's our tech guy. So similar background to Coach.
Yeah.
And in what me and Coach love to talk about, the tech space with franchising. So I guess give a little what pushed you to do your show, Business Stories, and how did it all get started? And give them a little background on kind of what you do with Clienttether as well. And since I brought up the name, I'll show you guys. This is who he's with. He is a senior sales person over there as well with Clienttether. So, and he'll get into those details too. But Ryan, yeah, how did it all start?
Yeah, so I started with Clienttether about a little over a couple years ago, and I really just wanted to start creating content. Really creating content to help entrepreneurs, franchisors, franchisees, consultants really start to just learn from each other. I learned from everybody I talked to, so it was just became valuable content to help myself learn from people, and then also get it out there for other people to learn from me and our conversations and our stories. So business stories is really story based. Every brand, every entrepreneur, everybody, no matter how big or small you are, everybody has a story behind what they do and what they're passionate about. So I really wanted to get people to get out there, tell their stories, tell the history. Some of these stories are really interesting and impactful. So I just wanted to get out there and start doing the podcast, and we're over 80 episodes in, and it's fantastic so far. It's really exciting. So yeah.
Uh,
Um,
dude, I love that you said that everybody has a story because they do, and I think the problem we're living in today, and I love that people are starting to join this kind of this mission of putting out content or a podcast or something, but they're just getting their voice out there. And I think David Perez, one of the things he said when he was on our show was, the people who are going to win today are the people who are strong to their opinions
yeah,
voice them. And I think that's sharing your story. Again, you're going to have opinions based on your story, and that's
yeah,
where we all learn from what happens. Coach, what do
yeah.
you think? He aligns perfectly with the community, right? I mean, this is a good wolf pack. Coach,
Can you hear us?
I don't know if he can hear us. He might not be able to hear
No.
us now. Oh, he
No.
dropped off, so he might not be able to hear us. But
Okay.
what I was basically telling him, I mean, you're vibing with exactly why we created this. Again, we just want to help people share their stories and where it all started. So I love that that's what brought out the putting out content to just share stories. I, what is so 80 episodes in? Obviously, you've heard some amazing stories.
Yeah.
Uh, what is one that comes to mind? I love to get into the stories and get into the nitty gritty. What's one that comes to mind that, like, as soon as you heard it, you had them on, you're like, wow, this
Uh,
blew you away.
gosh, there's one I'm sorry, I can't remember the woman's name, but she ran like a marathon, and she was an older lady. I think she was over 50 or 60. Um, but just the fact that her story of running and doing the marathons and the effort and the willpower, determination. I don't know if you've heard the story recently coming out. Well, it was about 10 years ago. Diana Nyad, who actually swam from Cuba to Florida. They're making a
Yeah,
movie about it. It's a pretty phenomenal story. She was like 60 something when she did it. The fifth
yeah, yeah.
time she did it, the fifth time she
The
finally
fifth time.
succeeded. Imagine doing it once, let alone 5 times, right? Like, so there was a particular story about a similar woman who was running marathons, and I talked to her, and it's just amazing the willpower and people have out there, that age doesn't define you, that you can do anything at any age. And these people are going out there and they're proving it to be true. Um, I think we've set too many limits on ourselves. So that was one particular episode that really stuck with me, because I was like, look, you could do this anything at any age, as far as starting a business, trying to accomplish a goal, working out, whatever you're doing, age doesn't matter. So get out there and do it. But that was one of the more impactful ones. Um, I've also talked to like musicians, and just the stories of how hard it is to make it in music and get any level of success, even if it's on an independent level. It's just another example of just grinding and grinding for years and years, doing something you're passionate about, so you can finally get to that goal. So yeah, I mean, those are some of the situations that really stick out for me and were
Yeah.
really powerful. Yeah,
It's so amazing that you're really talking about age and not putting limits on things, because
yeah,
it was one of the big things that Patrick Michael Donahue talked about last week on Tuesday. I mean,
yeah,
I think even one of the quotes we had mentioned and highlighted was he's he even tries to help those the seniors who think that they're, I think he said this, but they're getting pushed out by age and forced out of their corporate positions because of
yep,
age, and then they're stuck and they have no clue what to do, and they're really kind of lost. And I think you know that's really what excited me about even taking this journey on with Stacey and doing the show and hearing people's stories. It was there the past 15 years of just listening to YouTube videos of other people's shows, Tom Bilyeu, Impact Theory, all the others, you can name them, and just hearing the stories, and it's always the same thing that you just nailed with even a few stories you talked about, and
yep,
it's usually perseverance, it's usually passion, like,
yeah,
and I think there's no coincidence that you tied those together. I mean,
yeah,
if you don't have a passion for it, when you hit the hard, you give up easy.
yeah,
Like, there's no purpose, there's nothing driving you to want to to push through that wall, to break through that brick wall,
Right.
to go there. And so it's amazing that you nailed those things. But now with those stories, over 80 stories in, two things I mentioned: perseverance, passion. Is there one resounding thing out of the 80 stories so far that you felt was like, seemed like the same repetitive, kind of resounding, like I just said, the perseverance or passion?
I can
Was there
tell you just
is there one thing?
I would say there's one thing that sticks in my head over not just doing the podcast, but talking to brands and business owners over this last several years. And a lot of people, it's two things. They're just afraid of a lot. They're afraid of almost,
Mhm.
they're afraid they're not going to be successful. Another thing is they're afraid to be innovative. I mean, if you think of some of the biggest brands from McDonald's to any other fast food, you name it, they have innovated their brand at some point over the years. It started with the McDonald's with their drive-through window, right? Where would McDonald's be right now if they did not have drive-through window, right? I mean,
Yeah.
at the time, it was probably the stupidest thing. Well, we're going to put a window on the side of our restaurant. What are you talking about? That's crazy. But what happened? They did it, and here we are decades later. Drive through a McDonald's, you're gonna be a line of people going through the drive-through. It's just so much easier to get your coffee or whatever driving through. But that's just one example of 1,000 of brands that innovate. So I think if you're going to get out there and you're going to start a brand or a business, think about how you can innovate, how you can do things differently. And sometimes it's the smallest little thing that makes the
Mhm.
world difference. And that's one of the things I'm learning a lot talking to entrepreneurs. Yeah.
So you're nailing one of John Hewitt's big things too, which
Yeah.
is challenge the status quo.
Right.
And he shares the story of the ham bone story. And it's, Coach, if you want to share the story, because I feel like I'll totally chop it up, but go ahead, share the story.
Well, first off, let's make sure you can hear me because I'm just thankful I can
Yeah.
hear you.
Yes,
We
we
hear
got
you.
you.
Yes.
Victory.
Right.
Victory!
Big win.
It's the little things. I need to
Little
innovate
things.
my audio around this joint, I think. But the ham bone was an old story about a mother and a daughter. They were cooking the ham for Easter, and the mom cuts the ham in half and puts half in the pan. And the daughter asks, "Why did you cut it in half?" She's like, "I don't know. It's the way my mom always did it. We'll go ask her." And so she goes and asks the grandma, and the grandma says, "Well, I'm not sure that's how my mom always taught me. You need to go ask your great grandma." And so she goes to ask great grandma, and she goes, "Well, I never had a pan big enough to cook a whole ham." And it had just survived through all that time. And so that's never accept the status quo. We should question everything.
Yes.
100%. Yeah.
So, Clienttether, you've now, that was Clienttether before the content, or was Clienttether kind of what drove you wanting to kind of do that mission of getting the stories and creating business stories?
Yeah, no, the Clienttether drove it because I just realized working in franchising, there's just so many fantastic brands out there and concepts and interesting things and people out there. So yeah, it really drove it. And I realized brands need technology. They need technology to grow their brand, to spread the word, to generate, interest. So Clienttether does just that. It's more than a CRM. It's a communications platform. It's a sales automation platform. It's got reporting and analytics. You can embed video and content. So it's got a lot of tools that helps brands succeed. But what I like to do is not just say, here's the tool, here's a strategy to use the tool, right? You can have the greatest tool in the world, but if you don't have a strategy, what's going to happen? Nothing, right? So you need a strategy. So that's really how it all came together. Yeah.
Yeah, so in full disclosure, I had a chance to kind of peek at the system yesterday for a while and learn a little bit about it, and I was quite impressed with what you do. I love the fact that it was built with the franchisor system in mind. I like that the analytics were just off the hook, really, really amazing. So I guess that's the questions that I had coming in that maybe some others have, for a multi-unit franchisee, which
Yep.
it seems like it could get a lot of benefit from it. Could you dig into some of the dashboards and analytics that I would be able to see as a multi-unit owner?
Yeah. So, the hardest thing to do is look at what everybody's doing, right? And having that bird's eye view. And you want to know your lead volumes for your franchise, your franchise units. You want to know your best lead sources. You want to know whether or not your marketing dollars are bringing you a return, right? So we have a full dashboard, like Stacey was saying. We can track lead sources, we can track lead flows, we can track lead progression, we can track sales activities. If you're hiring salespeople, are they going to sit around and watch Netflix all day, or are they actually going to be doing the work? Are they making the calls? Are they sending the emails? Are they texting? Are they doing everything they're supposed to be doing? And then understanding all of that data is helping you understand if things are going well, why it's going well. And I think people seem to think when things are going well, they don't have to look at things anymore. It's going great. But when things are going well, you want to know why. Is it a particular lead source? Is it a type of lead we're getting? On the other side of the coin, if things are going bad, of course, you want to look at the analytics and understand why. So going back to the question is, let's break down locations A, B, C, and D and see what's happening everywhere. And if location A is doing really well, Bob at location A is killing it in sales, but John at location C, he's not there.
And you can really
He's
compare.
struggling. We could look at the data and we could say, hey, Bob, to help you get to the level Bob is at, or how can we help you get to that level that top selling location is at, based on the data, what we're finding, and then figure out a strategy to get you there. And that's really what Clienttether is designed to do, to help on the multi-level, multi-unit level basis. Yeah.
Cool. And in addition to analytics, one of the important things for any situation, any sales, is kind of what's termed speed to lead.
Right.
What kind of tools do you have to kind of help make sure that leads are being handled quickly, efficiently, and we're not letting some fall through the cracks?
Yeah. We have. So we're heavily built for home services. And if you guys know, if any of us have had home issues, damage or a flood, you want to call somebody and get an answer right away. You don't want to wait 2 days for an answer. So Clienttether is designed to do that immediate lead response. So it's boom, let's text them right away. Let's call them right away. Let's send them an email with a welcome video. Let's make sure that customer or that prospect or that lead knows that we care, that we're receptive, that we're there to communicate and help them. It's surprising to me how many companies out there fail to realize how important that is, but it comes down to the customer experience. What is the impression you're giving your customer right off the bat? And a lot of times that first impression is that call they're making to a call center or talking to that salesperson. And if they don't get responded to quickly, that's a bad impression, right? It's not leaving a good taste in their mouth, and they're going to go elsewhere. So that's just kind of the world we live in, and that's the expectations consumers have. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So DJ, we were going through the system yesterday, and he was showing a few things. He goes, and we have an immediate response. Check your phone. And sure enough, I looked at the phone. The text was already there as soon as he said immediate response. And he goes, now go check your email. And the email with the embedded video and things that he had was already there. So when he says immediate, he's not joking. It was immediate. Even out here to Currituck, where I apparently have all kinds of technology problems.
Oh my goodness. So I do have to know, because I'm very familiar with obviously CRMs, but this is specifically for franchises. So I guess what makes the difference between some of the other big CRMs and this, and what you guys have with Clienttether?
It's a good question. We try to keep it affordable, especially for an emerging brand. Obviously, cost is a concern. And when you look at other systems, sometimes it's a per user cost. Like you have a location with 10 users and you're paying $30 a user or whatever it is, that adds up over time. So we try to keep everything affordable. So we charge per location, not per user. So you could have one location with 20 users. You don't pay for those additional 20 users. You're just a flat monthly per location. So we keep it pretty affordable so that an emerging brand who's growing can scale affordably and not feel like we're robbing the bank as far as your budget goes. So, and we have a strong support team. We understand that franchising is complex. You're adding layers and layers and units and different levels of complexity based on the situation. So we have a support team that knows franchising and works with consultants, franchisors, independent business owners. So we understand the complexities they face. So we try to put an extra layer of support, actual human support, to help people be successful in that area too. So yeah, that's another important feature of it. Mm-hmm.
A lot of franchisors have their own internal systems for point of sale or data collection, and they may also contract with other marketing firms and things to do digital marketing and whatnot. How is it that you guys tie into those kind of things to extract data?
So we can integrate sometimes with POS systems. We're not really, I mean, we don't really touch on POS systems. I mean, we integrate with marketing partners, with lead generators that push leads into the system. We work with like Angie, Thumbtack, some of those lead generation systems. Not a lot of point of sale, but we do have like webhooks and APIs where if we take a system that has data, we can through a webhook or API push that data into Clienttether and then work with it however we need to. We don't do a lot with point of sale, but we could. It's more like lead generation companies, marketing companies, or lead generation portals like an Angie or a Thumbtack, where a lot of home service brands are pushing leads in from those places. People are going on there and inquiring about services. So we do that sort of stuff. But we can, like I said, API, webhooks, things of that nature. Definitely. Yeah.
Now Teresa brings up something, and she said this is good for VPs of sales and makes people also know. I'm assuming she says makes people also able to know what activities to support and what to spend time on. In her opinion. Now, is that a good kind of overview of it? And then with that point, is it more than really not just for franchises or franchisors? It can really be anybody who needs kind of that daily activity, wants to know or get that 30,000 foot view of what's kind of going on. It really could be beneficial in those ways as well, right?
Yeah, I think Teresa's right. I mean, it's understanding. It comes down to strategy, right? Every sales process and every business or franchise is different. And you're trying to figure out what activity should I focus on to get the most results or the optimal results. So yes, it comes down to, that's where those analytics come in, looking at where are we getting the most value from this? Where are we extracting the most optimal results? Is that through our calls? Is that through our emails? Is it through the text messaging? Is it all three? But yes, it's understanding. It's important to have a CRM, but it's even more important to understand how you use it and then what strategy is effective with it. And I think people miss the mark on that, right? So she's 100% right. You want to know, based on what the CRM is telling you, what activities to focus on and what activities to not focus on, where to spend your time, where to get the most results from. So, yeah.
Coach, that sounds like a new business owner's typical problem, right? Where to spend the most time on.
Oh man, is it that's a key to everything right there. That could unlock a lot of doors.
Yeah.
And so since there are multiple types of service businesses and things that you have, how customizable is this to as far as lead sources and maybe I want to track metrics that someone else doesn't?
Yeah, I mean, we can connect to different lead sources through what we call web parser. We parse the leads so a lead source will send a lead through an email and we'll build a parse from that email and push it into Clienttether. And we'll go back to your question again, Coach. Sorry, you were saying.
Yeah, just so let's say I've got a business and maybe I want to track a different set of metrics or there's something I'm looking for. How customizable are some of the dashboards?
Yeah. So our analytics, our dashboard is not very customizable because it's pretty much set and blocked out the way it is. However, you can customize your cadence, your communications, your texting. You can customize the messages you're sending, when you send them, how often you send them, and who to send them to. So like I tell people, you need to segment your database and focus on the messages you're sending to the particular segments. You don't want to send a message that's not relevant to a particular group. So you want to be very specific about how you segment your database, the messages you're sending, and how you customize that flow. And that will create some better results. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you've got some people that you've signed up as a client, but you're not doing a lot with retaining them. You're not following up post-sale. You're not building that relationship. You can build an entire retention plan with our system where you can send them a text asking them to leave reviews, ask for referrals, ask them to create a testimonial and send it to you, and just continue that post-sale follow-up. And that's a feature we have with retention plans where you can just retain your current clients or customers. And I think a lot of people, especially in home services, they do a job and they just forget about the person and move on. But they don't understand that building that relationship, that's going to bring you referrals and more business and upsell potential and just a better customer experience in general. So, yeah, so in that way it's customizable, but not so much on the dashboard end, but we can import like custom fields and different data points for leads or customers that you have. Maybe you want to track someone's anniversary, birthday, their firstborn child, whatever it is. Maybe they have a dog and you're a pet franchise and you want to send the dog a happy birthday card or something. You could do fun stuff like that. And again, those are just little things that make the customer experience that much better. So yeah. Yeah.
Cool. And how about we're talking about cadence here, so we could automate. Let's just say, for example, if I've got warm leads, I can have a fairly frequent cadence of communication that's preset, pre-automated, and then maybe something a little less once it becomes a colder lead. How about just a specified campaign? Let's say I've got a list of leads that have they haven't been touched in a couple of years. It's our, lost client list or whatever we want to call it. Can we do specific campaigns and to something like that?
Yeah, 100%. And I call those like zombie leads or dead leads. I call them zombie leads because you can bring them back to life, right? We've had people who have taken a dead lead database, someone who they've talked to a year ago, nothing happened, they weren't interested. They put them on a campaign. They've actually closed, a franchise sale from interacting with an old database. So exactly, Coach, you're right. Like that's exactly what you want to do is just keep reviving those old people, those old databases, and just make sure that you're nurturing them, building the relationship and sending them relevant content and educating them. And you'd be surprised at what comes out of that. But a lot of people fail to do that. But that's exactly how you want to use the system. For sure.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, sometimes the timing's just not right. You have to be there when the timing is right.
Exactly. I think that's where we get this total miscommunication of sales, and why people think there's some magic like bullet or something you can say, and it is a lot of timing. You can't force somebody, and if you force somebody, usually you lose. So you shouldn't be forcing anybody, and so it is just timing. So just being there and being relevant and being in their face is huge. The follow-up, again, that comes down to follow-up, and I don't know where I learned this from. I actually was just telling a guy earlier, but I usually abbreviate that, and they taught me abbreviate FU, and then that triggers you to say either you're telling them F off, FU if you're not following up, or you're following up. But one way FU is happening. Like you're telling them FU one way or the other. You're either following up or you're telling them F off. But that's what I think it really is where we lose that. We feel like, oh, we didn't make it right then. It's just dead. And I love that you called it zombie leads. So y'all, you want zombie leads, make sure you get a CRM that's constantly dripping and keeping you're there for the right timing. Because again, it is timing.
Yeah, just because someone says I'm not ready to do something right now doesn't mean you can't send them relevant content. You can't keep educating them or helping them in some way. Here's a podcast to check out. Here's a video to check out. Here's something I did before that helped someone in similar to you or your situation. So that's an opportunity to show them that you have value, you have knowledge, and you can help them. And when they're ready, you're going to be the first person they think of. Absolutely. Yeah.
So we've at least I have, because of my recent experience, I've kind of been asking questions from a multi-unit perspective. What about some of our folks who are just thinking of getting their feet wet, or maybe they're a single van dog groomer type of a business, or just a single store retail? What kind of benefits can you give someone that's getting started that way?
The first thing I tell people is, in any business, is it's hard to do this because our egos take over, but think about your customer. Think about their experience and how you think they should experience you, or what they expect the experience to be, right? So today's consumer expects immediate contact. They expect good communication because it's not 1989 anymore. We all have cell phones. We all have texting. We all have apps. So consumers today expect quick responses. They want to get what they want. They want it now. They don't want to have to dig around and find information. So always put yourself in the shoes of your consumer or your lead and what they're thinking. And the more you talk to your clients and the people you work with, the more you'll learn from them. But do that. Really put yourself in their shoes. Pretend you are one of your own customers and think about what they experience and what they feel from you and how that experience goes. But then I would say once you've mapped that out, then figure out is a tool like Clienttether or any other system, how is it going to align to help that experience and enable that experience to be as good as possible, right? So if you're if you're a dog groomer, communication's key, appointment setting is key, and then even maybe reaching out every time their dog has a birthday or something special happens, right? Do little things to keep that relationship going and that feeling going, so they know that you actually care about them and you're out there looking out for them and you want to help them. So yeah, it all starts from the customer experience and the leads experience, and then the technology supports that, enables it. And once you have all of that together, you add your technology, your experience, your content, your processes, all of that falls neatly into place. Now you've got something that's really special and powerful, and the results will basically come from that. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, as a solopreneur, a lot of times things it's easy to fall through the crack because you got your hands in everything. So anything you can automate that's going to be giving you outreach and helping you with this is so important. Now, also as someone who's starting out, it's kind of hard to do everything. So maybe what if I don't have really time to develop the cadence or develop the content that I'd like to put out? Do you guys provide any help with that sort of thing?
Great question.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. Yes, so we do have a content writer on staff. Her name's Crystal. She's excellent. She's written content for franchise brands and franchise consultants. She works with a lot of my clients. If you have content like in the way of podcasts or videos or anything else, articles, books, she can take all of that content and build messaging around it and build the cadence for you. So she can go ahead and write those text messages and those emails and incorporate all of your content into those plans. So within a matter of maybe, 4 to 6 weeks, you've got some automated campaigns already set up to go. And basically once you approve them and they're all set, they're running automatically. So you can handle other things while those messages are going out and those leads are being nurtured and followed up on. So yeah, we absolutely provide content. Or if you have a marketing team or somebody you hire else, we can work with them too, absolutely, to get the content in the system also.
Now, is that an additional service, or is that is that included in the service?
It is an additional service, and sometimes I can build it right into an onboarding package, because we do training, we do content if they want it. We import their data, we do all that stuff on the upfront onboarding side of it. So we can sometimes, if they want, we can just roll that content package into that, or they can later on get it separately if they want to also. Yeah.
And Coach, you want to touch on something you touched on, and actually I think his flyer even says about automate on here, so I'm going to throw this back up. But y'all, this is what we're talking about, Clienttether. So scale your franchise with us. That's what it says, sales automation. And one thing, shout out to my previous co-host of Sales Chatter Live, but he taught me this, and I love it, and I tell it to everybody. And I think for new business owners, this is advice that this is advice any leader or anybody who's wanting to manage a team instead of just have your own busy job that you're busy with all day long. ADD, automate, delegate, delete. Anything that you can automate it. And delete it, get rid of it off your plate, and delegate what you can. But you, as a leader, you got to be able to do that. So yeah, solopreneur, that's the hardest thing, is you're responsible for everything. It's all you.
You can drive yourself bonkers trying to do everything all at once. You will be working 24/7, never sleeping. So you have to delegate, you have to balance it, and you need to use the systems and the tools to help you, save your time and not go insane. So
what was our last show, DJ? Time is our most valuable currency, right? So
it absolutely is.
Protect it at all cost.
Protect that. Forget the money and everything else. Protect your time. Well, let's transition from Clienttether. Again, we'll let you plug in where they can find Clienttether, but I want to get back into obviously your show. So, business stories. I know your vision. Now, do you have a regular set time? How often are you having it? And where can they find you?
They can search Business Stories with Ryan Arcoraci on Google. I'm on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Apple Podcasts. So practically anywhere you can get your podcast, you should be able to find it. So yeah, I mean, and I don't post, or I don't really do anything regular. It's more like if I find somebody I want to bring them on, I bring them on. And I got a lot of people that email me and want to come on too. So I mean, really, I'm up to talking to everybody. My schedule's kind of limited, so I can't be doing 3 episodes a day or anything, but I do what I can when I can, but yeah, I mean, they're welcome to reach out, find me on LinkedIn, find me through Google. Yeah, and I'd be happy to talk to people out there for sure. Yeah.
Coach, any lead up questions, or you have any questions about the show?
Well, yeah, just kind of give me I might have missed it at the beginning, but give me the premise of your business stories.
So the premise is really just talking to entrepreneurs about their stories of where they came from and how they built their brand or their business. And some of them are just, it's so interesting. I don't think people realize how much sometimes people go through to build a business, how much struggle, how difficult it can be, how many years it can take, and how much rejection sometimes and failure it takes to get somewhere. And I respect that. So a lot of the people I talk to have been through that to some capacity. And it's not even sometimes a business. It's just a goal. Like, hey, I want to run this marathon. We were talking earlier, DJ and I, about a woman that swam from Cuba to Florida. 100 is just really important. And that's really why I think it's great to have the stories in the podcast. And it helps me to meet people and just really build good relationships. So yeah, definitely.
Awesome. I love entrepreneurial stories. And sometimes we need to be a little frightened by some of those stories, because you need to know what it really takes to be successful. And that persistence to overcome is what did Napoleon Hill say? He said that persistence is to the character of man as carbon is to steel. It's that important. And so I love those stories of persistence and overcoming.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and stories like you said in the beginning when we first talked about it, and why you love to hear stories. I mean, I think from any story from anyone, we can learn something from somebody's story, and if anything, it will just help us in some way not make that same problem or have that same issue.
Yeah.
And I think we're all so afraid to just use even just stories or books or YouTube videos or podcasts as mentors. But I mean, Evan Carmichael, I think he, his podcast is created all around just using other greats that I talked about. Tony Robbins, Lewis House. I mean, he's sharing everybody else's videos, but just how it's helped him create his business. And that's where these stories can just be so beneficial, because again, if anything, it just helps you understand, especially if you're on this journey of entrepreneurship or just trying to find that next level in this game of life.
Yeah.
Like, it helps you understand you're not the only one feeling this way or going through these things, or this isn't, like they say, you are on a lonely road, but it doesn't have to be lonely by the other stories around you. I mean, people don't have to take the mission with you or the same road with you, but just having those other stories to help you, like, oh man, okay, thank goodness, like, yeah, look, he made it. It took him 15 years. Or, I mean, that's why I love to share or hear the stories of, like, KFC. I mean, how many times was Colonel Sanders turned down and laughed out and joked out until 65? 65. I mean, most people give up. That's it, game over.
Yeah.
Like, KFC doesn't happen if he doesn't have the perseverance and belief in what he's doing and his recipe to just keep going after it. It doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think we need those stories just for that alone.
I was actually listening to a podcast recently with actor Josh Brolin. I don't know if you guys know who Josh Brolin is, but he was in The Goonies. He was the older kid from The Goonies. And the one blurb I heard out of that podcast, which blew me away, is that he went on, he said 300 auditions before he actually got the Goonies role when he was a teenager. He was probably about 15, 16, 17. I don't know. But I heard that they kind of glanced over it in the podcast, but I heard that and I went, wow, can you imagine going on 300 auditions before getting an actual role? So that just goes to show you. And now he's great actor, doing tons of movies all over But you can imagine being a kid, teenager.
Yeah.
I don't think a teenager nowadays could go to 2 auditions and fail and they want to keep doing it, you know? So imagine 300 failures and then finally getting it. So that just goes to show you it's just all about perseverance. It really is. Yeah.
So at first I was just excited you went to Goonies and not all the new Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, but now I see it was a specific reason you
Yeah.
went back that far. But yeah, now you're speaking my language with the Goonies.
Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
I did catch him, and I seen that. You know, speaking of the Goonies, I don't know why this pops up, but a guy who seems, and he's big on TikTok, so to follow him, he's desperately needing attention, I think. But Hams from The Sandlot,
Yeah.
he was stuck with that one role, and I think he must have got left with just being Hams. But I see him on TikTok, and he's funny. He's hilarious with the videos. He just had one with like only the lonely or something, and he's like, you know, people tell him to say the stuff, say the great Bambino, say this stuff, and then they just leave.
Yeah.
Like that's just it. They don't want nothing else to do
Yeah.
with him. He's just reliving that one pass.
Yeah.
That it just triggered that when you said Goonies,
Yeah.
Coach.
Yeah.
But perseverance, going back to the 300 auditions, like as a kid, there's something more inside, and that's what people need to understand. Like that's when the purpose, or why we're so big on the meaning or intent, like that's the only way you do as a kid, as a 15, 16-year-old go. I mean, at what point does any other person say, like, maybe acting isn't for me? Like, is it 50 auditions?
Yeah.
Is it 100 where you're like, am I crazy? Should I be doing this? Like, there's all these doubts that are eventually going to come. So something has to drive you.
Yeah.
Something has to push you through all of that.
Yeah.
And that's where that lonely road, I think, comes in. So that's where the stories of hearing people go through that, it's like, well, they were able to do that. Like they fought this. Like they had to be fighting so many doubts, so many self-doubts, so many limiting beliefs, so many other voices, so many other things that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Now I tried that and it never happened. You're never going to do it. Yeah. Don't listen. Like if your purpose is there, if that calling's there, if something inside you is driving you to want more, listen.
And it's not just kid actors. So for 2 decades of bringing franchisees into a system, franchisees go through the same thing. And if the mindset isn't where it needs to be, then at the first sign of resistance or problems or troubles, they just kind of fold up. And one of the mistakes I try to warn people against who are thinking of becoming a franchisee is just understanding the fact that a system will simplify your life as a business owner, because you don't have to create everything. But in no way does that mean it's going to be easy, because life, if it was easy, everybody would do it and there would be no money in it. So it wouldn't be worth doing. And so it's going to be really hard. It's going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but joining the system can make it simpler than it otherwise would be and give you a leg up if you use it. So the folks that used to scare me the most was when they would, first day of training, would, I got no worries about this. This is going to be easy. I'm just going to do this. I've got this person going to do that. And very rarely did they really have everything in place that they thought they had in place.
Yes. Echo that again. We need to echo that again. We lost Ryan. But yeah, Coach, I think you nailed it with that. It's it literally you don't know what you don't know, and that's where I think everybody wants to know everything, but once you think you know everything, that's when you really need to be afraid. Be afraid, because that's where you're probably screwing up big time.
Yeah, the most important things you'll ever learn in life are the things you learn after you know it all.
Yeah.
I love that. I like that. Well, Coach, any final questions or thoughts for Ryan, and any lasting thoughts? We're gonna wrap up. We're getting here to the last kind of quarter of this, and again, Ryan, thank you for joining us. This was awesome. Clienttether, y'all. We'll let him again kind of share where you can reach out. Now, any free promotions, any trials that they get for any Robinhood capitalist hookups we can hook them up with, just to give it a whirl.
Sure,
and see if it's something they need.
We could probably work out something. Just drop me a line, go to clienttether.com or email me at ryan@clienttether.com, and I'd be happy to talk to you and see what we could do for y'all. Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Yeah, nothing for me. That was I love asking those kind of questions. I love seeing the system. I really enjoyed the demo yesterday. The user interface is clean. It's easy to navigate. It was really quite impressive. So I appreciate the time for sure. And I know the folks listening. It, Man, if you are listening to this and you're struggling right now with reaching out and monitoring and getting your metrics that you need at your fingertips, I really think Ryan can help out. So that's my little plug. I was thoroughly impressed with what I saw.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. Thanks, DJ, too. I appreciate it. It's always good to talk to you guys.
Of course, and again, just really to back on Coach, but yeah, if you are new, you're a new franchisee, you just started a business, and you thought, I'm gonna get this business name, I'm gonna get these business cards, and all of a sudden, business just happens, and you're like, okay, what the heck is going on? Reach out to Ryan, or at least get a starting point of what the heck is going on, because that's the hardest part, y'all. Getting the easy part is kind of those little things, making a pretty little office and that stuff. But it's the nitty gritty of getting your name out there, building a brand, letting people know who you are. How to even go about that? The cadences. Again, I'm new to this whole I mean, that's a corporate world thing that me even working for small franchisees my whole life, that's something new to me, was the whole cadence and the different different plays behind the scenes of email, text, and all of the different lines of communication. But a lot of these small franchisees I was working with, it never even, they could have benefited huge from that, instead of the avenues and the other angles that they were using. So y'all, please, I mean, do yourself a favor if you feel like you're stuck at all. Again, just, he said you could reach out and at least get a free conversation and maybe a little layup of what to do, but reach out to him and just get an idea. And that's what me and Coach are here for as well. I mean, this is what Coach does. So we really just don't want you to be stuck. We don't want you to feel like, okay, I took this leap. There's no parachute and there's nobody around. What the heck is going on? I'm dying out here. Don't feel like you're dying. Don't feel like you're stuck. If you feel like that way at all, like, get rid of the pride and just reach out to somebody. There's always somebody that is willing to help. I promise you. I've seen enough.
I'll let the Grays speak here. Back in the day, we'd say business ain't a lot of fun until you get the phones to ring and the doors to swing. That's what these guys can help you do in the digital age, is they can help make that happen for you.
Yeah.
Yes. Amen.
Awesome.
Okay. Ryan, well, again, thank you everybody for joining us. Teresa, thank you for the comments. Anybody who does catch this later on or after the recording is live, again, it is on our YouTube channel on the Robinhood Capitalist. Again, be sure and like and subscribe so you don't miss us. We are starting to put some shorts, and Coach, I don't know if you noticed, I did get our TikTok up live with some of our shorts on there, and they're making their way around. But again, we really just want to get the message out. Our mission here at the Robinhood Capitalist is we want you to find your financial harmony, because chasing money and things, there has to be a number, there has to be a goal, and you'll realize that what makes you happy probably is smaller than what you think you need. So we want to help you figure that number out and just create your heaven on earth. And so again, as I like to say, if you know anybody, or if you're sick on Mondays or hate Mondays and you're always sick on Sundays, please reach out to us, reach out to somebody. But there's something inside you calling, telling you, hey, this is not what I want to do. But until next time, y'all, we are going to break this down. So Ryan, we will recap this and kind of dive in deeper to Clienttether. I'm sure me and Coach will on Thursday. So anybody who's watching this and wants to get more into the nitty gritty of the show, we do break these down live on Thursday mornings, 9 a.m. Me and Coach will kind of get more into the deep of it. But until then, please remember, feed the good wolf, y'all.
See you Thursday.
See ya.
I'm always on the red eye. This time around, it's not even